I'm a chemical engineer by background, worked in the industry for over 8 years as an engineer, doing very much factory building, anything from offshore oil and gas facilities through to designing coffee waste plants that turn coffee waste into biofuels. And then I started Kleiderly 2 years ago now, with the goal to actually focus on textile waste and how I can reuse that as a valuable resource. The reason for moving to Germany was, a decision we made as a couple, but it was actually a mixture of a few things. Brexit making it difficult to move to Europe after Brexit was official. We wanted to do it before, and we didn't really want to be stuck to living in one place, but have that freedom of movement. Without the language, it's extremely difficult. And to be honest, without my husband, who is our co-founder, I couldn't have done it, because he has to navigate the language aspect. That I think the hardest thing was even just setting up an UG, or understanding what's an UG and a GmbH. Or in the UK, you can set up a business online in pretty much 5 minutes. Understanding all the different company structures, KG, AG, what are they all, and then actually filing a business was really difficult. So I couldn't have done it without him, or without a German speaker. So I joined an accelerator here called High Tech Seed Lab, and that was extremely beneficial because they provide you with funding, and they also provide you with support from the state. With everything related to founding a business, to finding the right types of lawyers and notaries. And without this, I think I would have found the whole process a lot more cumbersome. But having their support to just, slowly build your network was really helpful. I think it's from the European Social Fund. And there's a lot of different companies using the European Social Fund to fund different businesses here. So there's Berlin Founders Fund, and also I think the Berlin Startup Stipendium. And all of these, I think the money comes from the same pot, but extremely helpful. And I think anyone starting a business has such great support by using one of these accelerator programs. It's not about being motivated, because it's easy to be motivated, but it's about being committed. You have to be committed on the days where everything is falling apart, or you're getting no's from everyone, and you have to be resilient and just keep going. And that was a really hard lesson to learn, that everything is not going to go your way. You have to just keep going, and kind of be this person who's saying that no one's going to stop me. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to keep going, and nothing's going to get me down. I don't even know if this is a competency, but I think you need to be very open to sharing. If you're not open to sharing and you keep your idea to yourself because you think it might sound stupid, you're not going to be able to get other people's feedback, and you need that in order to be able to grow. So I think an openness, I don't know if that's a competency though, I think it might be more of a personality thing. Other than that, I think you just need an understanding of how your product will solve a specific problem, and why your business is better than what's already out there. Don't just keep doing what others are, but actually what's your USP. Other competencies, I would say you have to be hardworking and not shy away from a challenge, because it's a huge challenge. You need to be really, really resilient and just keep going and keep your head down and focus. And that's really difficult to do, because you can get easily distracted. I always use the lean canvas. I don't know if you know that. The lean canvas is very, very helpful. So instead of writing a business plan, if you do this lean canvas, it's a much more direct approach to be able to get to the point very quickly, and then actually analyze all of your assumptions. It's really interesting because for the first two, I'd say, last year and the year before, I definitely was not good at managing a work-life balance. I was certainly driving myself into the ground and working extremely hard, doing, 60+ hour weeks. And looking back now, over the Christmas period, I had a real hard look at my life for the last 2 years and realized that life is not just your business, and you need to separate yourself from that. But also the most important thing really is your mental health and your physical health. And if you don't have those, then that doesn't matter, because the business won't run. So the way I manage to stay healthier mentally at the moment is to make sure that, say, by 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. I have a hard stop, and I'm not going to look at my computer after that. So if there's an email, it can wait till the next day. And I also try my best to also keep weekends off as much as possible. I think without risk, there's no reward. And I think one thing we've both gotten really comfortable with now is risk. And if you can get comfortable with risk, then you're not scared to do something. And actually, well, that's when you're outside of your comfort zone, that's where the beauty lies. So a lot of people find it unimaginable that we're both, taking such a huge risk. But I've gotten very, very comfortable with this now. But I can tell you honestly that at least 3 or 4 years ago, I couldn't have even imagined that I would be doing this. I was very risk averse. So it's not my personality, but I've gotten very comfortable with it. But it's extremely important. You have to just, I think, step back and think, okay, what's really important to me in my life? Getting that monthly paycheck, or doing something that I love that's going to, have an impact on the world, and that I actually really, enjoy or feel is my purpose. And so if that monthly paycheck at the end of the month isn't that important to you, then you can sacrifice it or give it up. The more you dwell on the fact that you failed, the more time you've wasted just being upset and not really solving the problem. And I have a very sort of a problem-solving mindset. It's like, there's a wound. Am I going to sit and cry that I have a wound, or am I just going to quickly bandage it up and continue? And that's how I work. So I of course, I've had setbacks where maybe it's affected me for a day or two, not just for a few hours. But I tried to do my best to kind of really step away and think, okay, look, really, what have I lost here? Have I really lost anything, or have I just learned something? And quite often you'll realize, well, I didn't lose anything. They haven't taken anything away from me. I've learned something from this. And so I can go back and do it again, and I'll probably do it better. And I also, one of the key things I always say to myself is, I need to look back and think I did my absolute best and I made the most effort possible to try and achieve that. Then if I didn't, at least when I look back, I won't say it's because I didn't work hard enough. So I always try to live life with this sort of no regrets, or least amount of regrets. Having a different cultural background means that you see life in different ways. You see how people live in Europe. I see how people live in India, for example, because I'm Indian by heritage, but my parents were born and raised in Tanzania. So I also have an understanding of how things work in East Africa. So I see things from completely different angles that maybe others haven't experienced or seen so close. And I also find that my cultural background enables me to understand cultural differences really well, and potentially have more empathy with people I work with or new people I meet, because you could have, certain setbacks or things holding you back a lot, and that could be due to your cultural background. And people who are not used to this won't understand why that would be something that would hold someone back. Some cultures might not be very comfortable with failure at all, and therefore would never risk founding a startup, and others might be very open to it. So I think understanding completely different cultural backgrounds, I feel like I'm a mixture of all of them, which makes me maybe able to see things differently. I think it's the most important part of starting a company. I really found the journey, I'll mention this in so many interviews, but I found the beginning of the journey really lonely, because I didn't have, besides my husband or maybe close friends, I didn't have anyone to share the journey with who fully understood what I was going through at the time. You need other people's opinions or people's understanding to just verify that what you're going through is not just you. Everyone's going through this and everyone's struggling through the journey. I ended up joining Google Female Founder Program last year, their accelerator program. And that basically got me in touch with about 20 amazing women from Germany, from Stockholm. And that network in itself really helped me, because I think we kind of created this big power network for each other, and we would go to events and bump into each other or recommend each other for certain things. Or we have a WhatsApp group where we recommend, people you should talk to, things you should be reading. That network helped me feel much more confident in what I was doing, because there were people there from all sorts of stages of entrepreneurship, people who have completely bootstrapped business, people who have funded, who've raised millions, people who've, got lots of co-founders, people who are solo founders. There's so much of a wealth of experience within that group in itself, and we all learn from each other. And that just multiplied my network even more, because then someone will introduce you to someone else, and all of a sudden you know so many more people. So network is extremely important when you're starting a business.